Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. And someone will say his career can never be saved. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage.
Hey guys, welcome to Just Nicolas Cage, where I very slowly work my way through Nicolas Cage's filmography. But today I thought I'd mix it up a little bit, because what I'm talking about today is from 2023, and it's also not a movie. It's Nicolas Cage's first venture into video games. I'm talking about the newly released downloadable content for Dead by Daylight. And just as a heads up, I only started playing this game for the first time a few days ago, and I suck at it. And I still don't fully understand everything in the game.
What the hell is this? Tiramisu? What?
So if you're here for a full rundown on the DLC, and you're looking for tips and tricks and builds and expert gameplay, then you should look elsewhere. This is more of a Nicolas Cage fan's outsider look at Dead by Daylight. So for those who don't know, Dead by Daylight is an online multiplayer horror game originally released on PC in 2016. The gimmick is that you have one killer and 4 survivors. The survivor's goal is to repair the generators and escape, and the killer's goal is to kill all the survivors. I have to admit, multiplayer-only games like this aren't usually my cup of tea. I rarely play multiplayer games. I much prefer a single-player game like driven by the story. Although in fairness to Dead by Daylight, there does appear to be some lore that you can read once you unlock challenges and stuff, but I didn't really dig into that. But personally, I just need more of a narrative focus to keep me invested in the game. And the only online multiplayer game that I actually do keep going back to is Overwatch. I know. But I did enjoy the handful of hours I played at Dead by Daylight. It's fairly simple, but there's a lot of upgrades and unlocks and perks and room for mastery. I didn't love the long stretches where you're just doing this with a generator, but then something exciting would happen, like my teammate would get murdered. And also playing as a killer was pretty fun. I loved playing as the Wraith. But the coolest part of Dead by Daylight to me is all the licensed content. There's a map that's the mansion from Resident Evil. And there's another map that's the house from Halloween. I got a real kick out of that. And there's tons of other licensed DLC from games like Silent Hill, and shows like Stranger Things and Attack on Titan, although they've been removed. And movies like Nightmare on Elm Street and Chainsaw Massacre and Saw, which brings me on to Nicolas Cage's involvement. As of July 25th, Nicolas Cage is available to play as a survivor in this game. And he plays himself. I will say I was kind of baffled when that was announced at first. I don't mean I was confused as to why Nicolas Cage chose to appear in a video game. He's an actor who's always up for trying something new. And his son is a big fan of Dead by Daylight.
Somebody very important in my family is a Dead by Daylight enthusiast. Okay. And that really put the hook in. Ha, pun intended.
But I was confused as to why is Nicolas Cage playing a survivor in the game? And more importantly, why is he playing himself? Because the first thing that came to mind is that he recently played Dracula in the movie Renfield. That would have been perfect DLC. Or else he could have played a survivor as his character from Mandy or Willy's Wonderland. Although his Willy's Wonderland character doesn't talk, so I'm glad they didn't do that. But then again, looking at some of the other DLC, Nicolas Cage is definitely more of a horror icon than Quentin Smith from the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, who the hell asked for that? But having played the DLC, I now get why they went for the unbearable weight of massive talent approach of having him play himself. Because they got to embrace and capitalize on the whole Nicolas Cage-ness of Nicolas Cage. The game actually provides a bit of lore about Nicolas Cage's character. To sum it up, Nick Cage gets a role in a movie called Descend Beyond, and the script consumes his mind and gives him visions. He goes to an island to film, and as part of the movie he performs a ritual at a stone altar. A mysterious fog appears and then he gets transported into the world of Dead by Daylight. At least that's what I think happened. It does seem to tie in with some of the other lore from the game. Like I think Descend Beyond is the name of a chapter in the game. But yeah, it's a fun little premise. Visually, I think they did a fine job at making it look like him. There's a little bit of uncanny valley-ness, but it's a lot better than what they did for the Laurie Strode DLC. She looks more like Dee from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia than Jamie Lee Curtis. As for the skins, I like that you can unlock real outfits that Nicolas Cage has actually worn. And I love that they included the jacket from Wild at Heart that's a symbol for his individuality and his belief in personal freedom. I do kind of wish there were more movie-related skins, like the long hair tank top combo from Con Air, or the bear suit from Wicker Man. In terms of gameplay, he has 3 unique perks. There's Scream Partner, where if the killer is nearby, Nicolas Cage screams and it shows where the killer is on the map. It's pretty useful, but the downside is that I think the killer can also hear you scream. But usually it would just scare the shit out of me when Nicolas Cage would start screaming. Although it is very funny when he starts screaming multiple times in a row.
Oh! Ah! Oh! Ha!
Another perk is dramaturgy. When you're running away, you can use this to get a little speed boost and a random effect. In my experience, I would only ever use this when I was running away and panicking, so I never would really even notice what bonus I was getting. But the little speed boost was nice. And then you have plot twist, where if you've been injured, you can pretend to be dying, and then slowly recover your health back to full. This was pretty useful, although a lot of the time a teammate would run over to me and start reviving me, which kind of defeated the whole purpose of it. I can't really speak to how useful these perks actually are and how to utilize them best in a build, but I also thought they were all fun and quirky. I like them. But the real reason I even played this game at all was for the voice acting. And the voice lines I did hear him say in the game were great.
Come on, turn to the light. God, come on, you can do better than this. You are better than this. Didn't your parents ever tell you that?
But based on the 25 or so games I played as Nicolas Cage, I found that he speaks a lot less frequently than I thought he would. I assumed that he would constantly be saying something unique in relation to what's going on all the time. Like you'd be running for the killer, he'd be going, oh god. Then you get hooked and he'd be going, get me down. And then he'd be saying something about the generator, and then he'd be celebrating getting away. And voice lines for all of those things do exist in the game, but it's just random as to whether he says them or not. In my experience, you only get about 1 or 2 voice lines per match. And I've also played entire matches where Nicolas Cage hasn't said a word, outside of his little quote when he spawns into the game.
Take the part, it's a good movie, he says. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Which to me is a bit of a letdown, to be honest. I want Nicolas Cage talking constantly throughout my game. There's a compilation on YouTube of everything Nicolas Cage says in the game, and it's like 13 minutes long. And some of the things he says are amazing.
Power up, power down, circle around, open that gate! Seriously? Help me! I'm Nick fucking Cage! I'm not afraid! You can't kill me! I will live forever! Ah!
But I suppose that is incentive for me to keep on playing. I found myself playing the game now solely to see if he'll say anything funny. And I guess if he was speaking constantly, he would burn through all the voice lines very quickly. And you'd end up hearing the same things over and over again, which could get kind of annoying. And as far as I can tell, no other survivor in the game actually talks during a match. They're all silent, including Ash from Evil Dead. So for Nicolas Cage to have any lines at all actually seems like a step up from every other DLC. And even in the games where I didn't trigger any voice lines, it is still fun to hear his grunts and screams knowing that it's coming from Nicolas Cage himself. The best voice line I actually heard him say in a game I was playing was when he just randomly started singing the theme from Halloween.
Stop!
I wasn't even up against Michael Myers or on the Halloween map, so it didn't even make any sense, but I loved it anyway. And I also saw on YouTube that he has a line about Sadako, the girl from The Ring.
Sadako, not you. Sadako, wait a minute, I live with Sadako. I mean, it's okay.
Which is especially awesome because Nicolas Cage said that one of the things that drew him to this game was the fact that Sadako is in it.
One of my favorite genres is horror. And in this, and in that genre, there's a character, a murderous ghost named Sadako, who I think is amazing. And she made an appearance in this game, so that was good enough for me.
Okay.
I do kind of wish that he had unique voice lines about all the other killers. I think those are the only 2 in the game, but imagine the other things he could say. What's my favorite scary movie? It's actually the 1920 German silent film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Thanks for asking. And that's about all I've got to say about Nicolas Cage in Dead by Daylight. I might have been a little bit underwhelmed by the frequency of his voice lines, but otherwise he's very fun to play as. And the novelty alone of playing a video game where I got to play as Nicolas Cage, running away from Wesker from Resident Evil, outside of the house from Halloween, was well worth the £3.99 that I spent on it. And hopefully this is the first of many Nicolas Cage video game performances. My dream is for him to one day be in a Hideo Kojima game. And Kojima did recently post a picture of him and Nicolas Cage together. So fingers crossed a collaboration one day, I would love it. So for my next Nicolas Cage review, I'm going back to the regularly scheduled programming, and I'm going to be talking about the movie The Family Man. So until then guys, thanks for watching.